Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today I would like to share with you my thoughts on how to respond if an interviewer says something inappropriate or offensive to you. Before we jump into that, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every week. Inappropriate or offensive comments during an interview are not okay. So recently, I've had several comments on my videos as well as several experiences shared from people that I've worked with as clients who have described to me inappropriate or offensive comments that they have received during the interview process. Some examples of these might include, well, aren't you pretty? Why don't you just retire? Or would your husband let you work? Those types of comments are not okay. You, as a candidate, have the right to be treated with respect and dignity during the interview process. Your well-being and dignity always come first. So while this might be uncomfortable, and there certainly feels like there's a power dynamic because you're hoping to get a job from the people that you're interviewing with, putting up with inappropriate or offensive comments during the interview process could be a major red flag as to how this company operates. I just want to have a disclaimer. These are my tips on how you might be able to handle this type of situation. And if you're watching this, you either experienced this type of situation directly, or you're preparing yourself if you were to experience it in the future. Every situation is different, and there is no clear-cut right or wrong way to handle it. So just know that if you feel like the interviewer's behavior was particularly offensive, discriminatory, or illegal, you may want to consider reporting this behavior to the recruiter and the company's HR department, or even the relevant authorities. Now, that isn't necessarily something that you might choose to do right away, but just know that if this is happening to you during the interview process, it's unlikely that it's not happening to anyone else in the organization. If it's happening to you in this early stage of potential employment, it's likely that this person or this culture is set up for it to operate this way, and that is not okay. So, if you have experienced inappropriate or offensive comments during the interview process, or you are preparing yourself to experience that in the future, here are some tips for you on how to handle that. First and foremost, remain calm and professional. You may want to initially give the interviewer the benefit of the doubt that they didn't intentionally mean to say this inappropriate or offensive comment. And they probably weren't intentionally trying to make you uncomfortable or offend you. At the same time, it's also critical and up to you to ensure your own safety and comfort are maintained. So my very first tip is to trust your instincts. If this situation doesn't improve or it becomes increasingly more uncomfortable, it is okay to end the interview. You can say something like, "Thank you for your time, but I don't think this position is the right fit for me." Or, "Thank you for your time, but I don't think this organization is the right fit for me." So if the situation becomes uncomfortable or unsafe, you are well within your rights to end the interview. It's likely you probably wouldn't want to work at that organization or in that role in the first place if this is the behavior that you are encountering at this early stage of the potential employment process. So my second tip is on ways that you could address these comments during the interview process. You could redirect the conversation. Politely steer the conversation back to the job-related questions. So you could say something like, "I appreciate your interest in my background. In regards to this position, my education and/or experience set me up for success by," and then fill in the blank. You could also choose to address these comments in a respectful way. You could say something like, "I'm here to discuss my qualifications for the position. If you have questions related to that, I would be happy to answer those." If you've been asked a question and you would rather refuse to answer, that's also perfectly appropriate. You could say something like, "I'd prefer to focus on discussing my skills and experience relevant to this position." You could also request that this person repeat themselves or pretend that you misheard or misunderstood their question. So you could say something like, "I'm sorry, I don't think I heard you. Could you repeat yourself?" So those are ways that you could potentially address the comments. Now, if this type of behavior or the inappropriate comments continue, if they happen more than once, call out the comment directly. You could say something like, do you say that to all of the people you're interviewing? Or, do you start all of your interviews with a comment about the candidate's appearance? Or, do you ask all of the candidates when they will retire? Now, those are examples of ways that you could address these types of comments during the interview process. It is also likely going to be beneficial to document this experience. So the sorts of things that you would want to jot down in order to document this include the date, the time, the location, and specifics of what were said or what were asked. So essentially you're jotting down the details of this incident. And you may want to use that documentation to report this experience to the recruiter or the hiring manager that you've been working with. So if this has happened to you, where you have experienced an inappropriate comment or an offensive comment from the interviewer during an interview, I'm so sorry that you had to experience something like that. No one should have to experience that sort of comment or uncomfortable feeling during the interview process, or really at all. So while I hope this doesn't happen to you, I also hope that these tips will set you up to successfully and effectively deal with these comments moving forward in the future. Comments like, well, aren't you pretty, aren't flattering, especially during the interview process. So you don't just accept that you should be flattered and move on. This is potentially harassment, and that is not okay. These sorts of inappropriate comments or offensive comments are red flags that these sorts of comments and behaviors are likely tolerated within this organization. It's up to you to choose if you want to expose yourself to potentially experiencing those comments or those behaviors in the future. So I hope you found this video helpful. It's a little bit more serious than some of the other videos I posted, but it is an important topic to address because these sorts of things happen during the interview process and it's not okay. So if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas on inappropriate or offensive comments from interviewers during the interview process, please put them in the comments box below. I'd love to hear what you have to say on this topic. And if you have any experiences that you want to share about how you've handled these sorts of comments in the past, please share them in the comments below. Your experiences that you share will likely help someone else who is going through something similar in the future. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can continue to receive life, work, balance advice delivered directly to you every week. And if you're looking for one-on-one customized career coaching, interview prep coaching, or assistance with your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and other application materials, please contact me today. I've got sessions available each week to work with clients in these various areas, whether it's your career as a whole, interview strategy sessions, or preparing your application materials like your resume and your cover letter. So if you'd like to work with me directly, get that one-on-one specialized customized coaching, please contact me today. I've linked to my website as well as my email in the description box below, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.